Now today, that fixed gold price standard still exists, but under another form. The gold price is being manipulated, frozen, if you wish, by those who prefer still having a dollar as good or even better as gold. Of course, this is ridiculous. You can never be as good or even better than gold. Certainly when your fiat currency is debt-loaded like hell. So that's why people came up with, how can we change that gold standard, that old dollar gold price, fixed gold price standard? And people like Roueff, who was serving under General de Gaulle of France, got the idea, why don't we let the gold price float freely or govern it freely? Well, that was a very difficult proposition idea for the dollar regime to swallow. How could it ever be possible that gold would be better than the world dollar reserve? They just couldn't imagine it. Today, it's different. They will have to accept it one day because the gold price is floating more and more and more freely. And that is a free floating gold wealth standard. Your wealth is accumulated in physical gold that is keeping up its value, its buying power, forever. And that's not the case with the dollar. So gold is slowly but surely proving to the entire world it is better than the dollar. That's in two words, the story what happened from 1971 up until now and still evolving.
Okay, so the free gold is basically an environment where a gold is allowed to float against any currency.
Yes.
You mentioned that the gold price today is being managed, and then I have to assume that it is managed by those who benefit most from a dollar standard, a dollar reserve, and that is the US government.
Yes.
Or is it perhaps the US banks or the international banks?
No, it is the dollar system which is governed by the dollar regime. And the dollar is the world is on a dollar standard. Each and every one who wants to buy a barrel of oil or any commodity must trade that in dollars. So basically everybody is a kind of a dollar slave. Now, if you want your currency to be on top of the world, you don't want any competitor to say, hey, you are simply a unit of account that is 100% debt, and who dares to say such a thing like that, that's a piece of gold metal, because gold is no one's debt. And on the other side, the dollar is the center of the world, and all the other currencies in the world are floating around the dollar standard, and we have floating currencies. But why don't we have a floating gold price? Why must the gold price be governed for exactly the reason that you mentioned in your question. It serves the dollar system, which is a dollar monopoly on the world, and the regime behind that dollar system.
Right. So if we were to zoom in on Freegold, you mentioned that we are going to save in physical gold, but there has to be some severe implications out of that, especially looking around our monetary system, how we use money today. So are we still using our euros in our wallet to pay off? How will we use the money then?
Of course, these are modern times. We still keep using currencies, any currencies. A currency is a unit of account, and you settle any business in a unit of account, whatever currency, but the currency, those currencies are not a store of wealth anymore, simply because they are equal to debt. And debt is not a store of wealth. So what the world needs now is an appropriate store of wealth, one that already exists more than 6,000 years. And the only one is still the same. That's the yellow metal.
Okay, yeah, I think you excellently described that. So our currency, our currency is based on that, which is not a store of value by definition almost, because if we borrow money into existence, we have to pay interest on top of that, which means it will always increase in amount and it will always decrease in value over time.
Exactly.
Okay, so if we were to use a surplus of currency to convert into gold as a form of savings, that will also greatly impact, for instance, our like the available capital to banks. So I can only imagine that there are no deposit or savings accounts at banks anymore. So that has some serious implications to the banking industry, doesn't it?
No, because for settling business, we'll always do this in currencies. We are modern times, and this is never going to change. But gold can also have not only a function of storing wealth, but also a disciplinating function on those who are governing the financial and monetary system. I'll explain. Today, there are even suggestions that commercial banks should have in their reserves gold metal. Simply because if clients decide they don't want to save in currencies anymore, they can ask for physical gold. And commercial banks are obliged to deliver and trade physical gold to their clients. So what is this client doing with this bank? He's just saying, hi, I don't trust your governance anymore. You're doing the wrong things and have a wrong policy. I put my trust back into gold. Just sell me the gold. I exchange my currency for gold. And once I do trust you again, and you are proving that you are having good governance, I might as well sell my gold and change it back into digits, currency digits. That's a discipline function that goes with gold.
Okay, but if there's anything, then there is a lack of discipline right now. So I think then that at least we can see some changes to the amount of the real capital being stored at the bank. Or isn't it?
The point is that banks, commercial banks and investment banks are working with a fractional reserve system. And that fraction of reserves has become so thin, so immensely thin, that whatever happens, an accident, a death accident, of course, those banks do fail because they don't have reserves. Now, how simple would it be to have a bank that is by law obliged to hold physical gold as a reserve, just like the new European Central Bank is doing? And the gold price is allowed to float freely and keeping up with the production of debt. And gold, as a store of wealth, always keeps its buying power, whatever the debt amount or rise is. So the bank always has a reliable and liquid reserve to trust on and to use in times of stress. And that is physical gold. That's very easy. It's very easy to check and control. So gold again is here a disciplining commercial banks not to leverage and go into high risk maneuvers by fractional reserve banking.